all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. Today's podcast, we're going to focus on the motion to dismiss that was filed in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, this is going to be, I don't think we can cover everything in one podcast. There is a lot of material. So we might divide this podcast into multiple podcasts, and so that way we can get to talk about everything that we want to talk about. The questions that we're going to be asking on this podcast is, what was the motion to dismiss? What was that was filed in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Blake Weiner, when he filed the motion to dismiss, what was it? Now, what did Judge Carol Weimer, why did Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge, rule against the motion to dismiss? Blake Weiner, Mustafa's defense attorney at the time, what did he base his motion to dismiss? What case law did Mustafa's lawyer at the time use, and he based that motion to dismiss on? What was the main piece of evidence that's in question? And did Judge Carol Weimer rule that that piece of evidence was inculpatory, not important? Judge Weimer's decision on the motion to dismiss, what does that show about Judge Carol Weimer? Does it show that he's impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? What does it mean when Mustafa's lawyer at the time, when he didn't appeal the decision of Judge Carol Weimer? What does it mean that Mustafa's defense attorney, for him not to appeal it? Why did he not appeal it? Did the motion to dismiss cover everything that was done in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? And if it didn't, why did it not cover everything? Why did it only cover the dash camera? There are multiple parts to the falsified case of Mustafa Al-Jazari. What does that say about Mustafa's defense at the time? Blake Weiner. There's a lot of exhibits that we're going to cover. We have a lot of questions into the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And we might be dividing this podcast into multiple podcasts. Let's get started.
Morning, Chief.
Morning. Just grabbing a little H2O before the next briefing. You know, a lot of good conversations start right here at this cooler. Keeps the department running and hydrated. Now,
Chief, we have a problem.
what's going on?
The Mustafa brothers. One of them got into evidence storage, took the Redfield file.
You're sure?
Caught him on the cameras 10 minutes ago.
Damn it.
Detective Forrester's been trying to track him since.
You knew exactly what he wanted. Folder was gone when I came back from the
All
lab.
right, lock down the exits.
We've lost another body cam node. Pull up the feed.
Found him. It's Mustafa, brother. He has the cams.
Lock down the servers. Now!
He's already inside.
Turn. This is for you, Agent Doyle. Full clip. Don't let them bury it.
Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother, now.
They brought him on a ride-share trace, heading south on East Street, plate ending 068.
Sending coordinates now.
Copy that. Keep the feet up.
I'm moving. Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother, now.
The broadcast talk to me.
Rideshare just dropped him downtown. He's heading for a studio called FM Wave.
Copy that. Put eyes on the block and lock it down. Whatever you do, don't let him air that file on his podcast. Units are en route.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw them.
This is not another Boron podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. Before we find out what is the motion to dismiss is all about in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, before we get to the bottom whether the motion to dismiss, show and tell us whether Judge Carol Weimer, the presiding judge, is impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Before we get to find out that Mustafa's lawyer at the time, was he colluding with the prosecution behind closed doors to protect the county that is falsifying the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? We have a lot of questions. Now that the file is leaked, now that I've got my hand on this file that's sealed by the county, we get to ask these questions. We get to go back to every motion that was filed, every decision that was taken by the judge, every decision that was taken by the prosecutor, every decision that was taken by the defense. And we get to put that under a microscope and find out, are they working behind the scene to contain this case and falsify it? We get to ask these questions. Now, before we jump into the motion to dismiss and what we're talking about in this podcast, we want to go over to our local paper, Inside Nova, and find out what is going on in our community. All right, so let's go over to Inside Nova. There we go. And we've got, there we go. All right. We've got a story out of Culpeper. Becky, this is right in your backyard. That's 2 podcasts in a row. So, Culpeper, we have a person in Culpeper. We're starting a. Let me get into this before, Becky. I'm gonna get you to laugh. Okay, this is funny. Having Becky in Culpeper, we have someone that we can send out and investigate what's coming out of that county. So the other day we covered Nancy, the mail carrier, and what's going on with the counties charging her with. This is another story. Becky, we're putting you to work. All right. So you've got a story coming out of Culpeper County in our Inside Nova, in our local paper. And the story reads, Culpeper couple charged in hammer and leaf blower attack on elderly neighbor. All right, this is definitely going to be interesting. All right, so you've got 2 individuals. All right, that's individual 1 and that's individual 2. All right, and they're elder attack on. Okay, all right. Culpeper couple charged in hammer and leaf blower. So one has a hammer and the other one has a blower. All right. I don't think it's going to end well. All right. Attack on elderly neighbor. All right. A 73-year-old Culpeper man suffered a skull fracture. All right. This is getting serious real quick. Concussion and possible permanent injuries following a July 17 attack by his neighbors over a property dispute, according to police. All right. Responded to 1100 block of Oakmount Court at 9 a.m. So, Becky, we've got an address for you. All right. 1100 block of Oakmount Court at 9 a.m. We're going to give Becky, Becky has been with us for a long time. She has been tracking the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, and she's out of Culpeper. We're going to give her a microphone and a camera, and we're going to send her out to that address. And we're going to see if we can get an interview and get her side of the story or his side of the story. I mean, We want to find out what's going on. All right. Officer responded to the 1100 block of Oakmount Court at 9 a.m. for a fight and found the victim unconscious inside his home. So which one is the victim? Is she the victim or is he the victim? We'll find out. All right. Investigators found the victim unconscious inside his home, bruised and bleeding from multiple laceration. The Culpeper Police Department said in a news release. Well, all right. They're saying that he's the victim. I wonder what he did before that happened. I want to find out. I want to know. Okay. Did you have anything to do before that happened to you? What made that happen to you? These are all good questions. Okay. So I want to get her side of the story. I want to get his side of the story. So far, we don't know who's injured. Who's the attacker? Who's the injured? But well, I'm sure the police is going to tell us. Investigator identified the suspect as Louis Chevalier, 70 years, and Gail Chevalier, 72, both of Culpeper. All right. The release said, according to police, dispute over a property line escalated, leading to the attack involving a hammer and a leaf blower. I say the hammer, more likely one. I want to know who had the hammer. All right. Why would you attack with a leaf blower? He has a hammer. All right. Forensic evidence and witness interviews also indicate the victim's finger was bitten. All right. You got your finger bitten, a hammer, and they bit your fingers. All right. Forensic evidence and witness interview also indicate the victim's fingers was bitten during the struggle. Okay. It definitely sounds like a struggle. Louis Chevalier also admitted, all right, Louis also admitted to gouging the victim's eyes. All right, so Louis is the one with the hammer. So imagine this guy has a hammer. All right, he bit your fingers and he gouged your eyes out. All right, poor little old lady. I wonder what she did that she had this guy come after her with a hammer, bit her fingers off, and gouged her eyes. I mean, I'm not saying that. Look, I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying, all right? A leaf blower? Really? A leaf blower? You couldn't grab anything else other than a leaf blower? He's got a hammer. All right? Okay, all right. Let's go back. The victim was also struck repeatedly in the back of the head. All right, so you've got a hammer, you bit the fingers off, you gouged the eyes out, and the victim was also struck repeatedly in the back of the head with a hammer. What the hell, man? All right. Over what? Over. All right, let's keep reading. Leaving marks consistent with both the head and the claws of the tool, the release said. All right. Police allege Gail Chevalier also struck the victim multiple times in the back of the head with a leaf blower. All right. No. She has a hammer. He has a leaf blower. All right. All right. The victim received 6 stitches. Okay. Now the story makes sense. No wonder. I mean, you're going to attack her with a leaf blower? She has a hammer. I mean, look, she's coming at you with a hammer. You're going to grab a leaf blower? All right. So she has a hammer. He has a leaf blower. All right. Medical staff have indicated the victim may have sustained permanent injuries, the release said. Well, why do you have a hammer? What do you want him to do? You're coming at him with a hammer. All right. Detective recovered the victim blood on Louis Chevalier's shirt, on the hammer, and at the scene. The release said evidence also indicates the suspect used paper towels to clean up blood. Okay. Which was later recovered inside their home, police said. Both Louis and Gail are jailed without bond on charges of malicious wounding according to court record. Keep them locked up. All right? Keep them locked up. All right? Now, I pedal back. I don't know the whole story. I don't know who's at fault, but keep them locked up. We will send Becky out. I mean, I don't think they're going to tell us their story, but I'm sure they got family at the address. We're going to give Becky a microphone. We're going to give her a camera, and we're going to tell her to go out to this address, okay, and see if we can get the family side of the story. We want to know, why did this lady, let's pull up the article one more time. We want to know why this lady had a hammer. We want to know what the leaf blower story is. And we want to get to the bottom of it. All right. This story made the news. This story made our local paper. Becky, you've got a lot of work to do. We're going to put you to work. All right. We're going to jump into what we're talking about today on the podcast, the motion to dismiss that was filed in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, to understand what is going on in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, you have to go all the way to the back, all the way to the beginning. This is a vehicle accident that the county says it's not a car accident. They're charging Mustafa with murder. They're saying that Mustafa crashed the vehicle on purpose and unalived his family. On purpose. This is not a car accident. That's what the county says. Now, the county went as far as sealed the file. So you can't FOIA request anything out of it. They won't release anything out of it. The file is sealed. Well, fast forward to, I got my hand on the file. Now we get to see every body cam, every document. We see the dash camera that's inside the vehicle. Now, the county says that this dash camera that's in Mustafa's vehicle has no audio. Now, the county says that Mustafa is arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. The Commonwealth attorney came out on the news and said this dash camera does not have audio. Now, when the county is charging Mustafa that he's arguing inside the vehicle, they're saying that, Mustafa, you are arguing inside the vehicle, but this dash camera doesn't have audio. Would you agree that if you had the audio today, it's an open and shut case? I mean, we're going to be able to see if the county is telling the truth about this case. Is Mustafa arguing? Is Mustafa not arguing? So therefore, the audio to this dash camera, we would agree that it's important information. Now, important in legal terms, it would mean exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory means important evidence. Inculpatory means information that's not important. So we would agree that the audio in this dash camera is exculpatory evidence. Now, the prosecutor went to great length and hired a lip reader in this case. Now, why would the prosecutor hire a lip reader? She wants to know what is going on inside the vehicle. There is no audio. The county is telling you there is no audio. The Commonwealth attorney came out and said there is no audio. So the prosecutor hired a lip reader. Now, would you not agree that the prosecutor is on board on the same page that the audio is important? So since there is no audio, the prosecutor got a lip reader. She wants to know what is going on inside the vehicle. Is Mustafa arguing with his girlfriend? So you would agree that the prosecutor agrees that the audio is important. What's going on inside the vehicle is important. If we had the audio, we wouldn't have to have a lip reader. Now, my question for the prosecutor, why did she tell the judge in a motion to dismiss that the audio is inculpatory, not important? Now, why did Judge Weimer rule that the audio was not important? What does that show about the impartiality of the judge? If the judge is telling you the audio is not important, you know it's important. We can all agree that the audio is important. If we had the audio, it would be an open and shut case. But what does it mean? But here's a better question. Why did the prosecutor say the audio is inculpatory? Now, the motion to dismiss that Blake Weiner filed is based on a case law. The case law is Trombetta versus California. Now, what does that mean? What is that case law? That case law is that the audio would have to be damaged by the police department, and it doesn't have to be intentionally damaged. That it could be neglect, that they accidentally damaged them. Now, we have evidence that the police department purposely damaged this audio. They edited and cut the dash camera. Mustafa's lawyer at the time, he went with Trombetta versus California. There's another case law. So that case law is that the police department accidentally damaged it. Now, for that case law to be active, for him to be able to use it in the motion to dismiss, and the judge would have to rule and dismiss the case, the evidence, the piece of evidence, has to be important evidence, exculpatory evidence. And the whole motion to dismiss is based on the audio of the dash camera. Mustafa's defense attorney at the time argued that the police department unintentionally destroyed the audio. Therefore, there's a case law, Trombetta versus California, that because they damaged the audio, and this audio is so important to this case, exculpatory evidence, that this case should be dismissed. They destroyed the main piece of evidence. So how could you take this case to trial and get to the bottom of what's going on in this case? Now, the prosecutor came out and she said, her argument is, Your Honor, this audio is not important. Wait a minute. This audio is not important? Then why did you hire a lip reader to lip read what Dorothy and Mustafa are saying inside the vehicle if it's not important? All right, we know you're bullshitting us at this point. Now, here's a question for the judge, the presiding judge. We all agree that this audio is important. The county is saying Mustafa and Dorothy are arguing inside the vehicle. Wouldn't you think that the judge is going to rule, yes, this audio is important? Would you be surprised to find out that the judge ruled that the audio is not important? How is it not important? You, the county, is charging Mustafa and alleging that Mustafa is arguing with his girlfriend. Therefore, if the audio is here, it would be an open and shut case. Now, Judge Weimer ruled against the motion to dismiss because he said the audio is not important. So, the question that we're asking on this podcast, knowing that this is what the judge ruled, what does that mean for the judge? Does this show that the judge is not impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Now, let me take this a step further. Does this show when the judge ruled against a motion to dismiss, Mustafa's lawyer, Blake Weiner, at the time, could have appealed it? Why did Mustafa's defense at the time not appeal it? Let's take this a little bit even further. The prosecution got a lip reader in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, Judge Weimer denied Mustafa's bond at the time because of a lip reader. The lip reader is alleging that happened in the vehicle. Well, Mustafa was scheduled for trial in December 2024. In December 2024, Mustafa was scheduled for trial. And this judge was going to preside over a lip reader that was going to come in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, Mustafa's defense attorney was going to take Mustafa into trial with a lip reader, December 2025. Take that back. December 2024. December 2024, Mustafa was going to go into trial with a lip reader. Now, fast forward to the file, the sealed file leaked. In that file, the dash camera, the full dash camera. Now, this dash camera is a problem for the Commonwealth attorney, for the prosecution, because it shows that the lip reader is lying about what's being said inside the vehicle. Now, in 2025, Judge Carol Weimer ruled that it is illegal to have a lip reader in a criminal case and removed the lip reader. Wait a minute. This is the same judge. This is the same judge that was going to preside over this case with a lip reader in 2024, December 2024. What changed in 2025? The law is the same law. The only thing that changed is this file leaked. And they can no longer have a lip reader lie about Mustafa because it's all over the internet and the community got to see that this lip reader is lying for the prosecution. Now, here's a question. The question is, what does that show about the judge? Does this show that this judge is not impartial and he's on board with protecting the county and falsifying the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? What does it mean for Mustafa's lawyer at the time? Mustafa's lawyer knows that you can't have a lip reader on a criminal case, but he had no problem walking Mustafa into trial with a bullshit lip reader. These are all questions that we're going to be asking, and we're going to get to the bottom of. And we're going to find out. We have a lot of exhibits. We have the transcript from the motion to dismiss. We have a bunch of body cams, and we're going to go over them one step at a time. Now, we have a really interesting outline, and through this outline, we're going to show the exhibits so that way we can slow down the conversation, walk you through the evidence that's involved in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, and we want to get to know and find out, is Judge Carol Weimer impartial? Is Prosecutor Sarah Sammy just an honest prosecutor trying to get to the bottom of what's going on in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, get to the bottom of the truth, or is she using officers to falsify this case? Now, this podcast has 13 parts. We're going to divide this into multiple podcasts. And so for the next couple of podcasts, we're going to be focused on the motion to dismiss. Part 1 is, what is the motion to dismiss about? Okay. Questions we have. What exactly was Mustafa Al-Jazari motion to dismiss asking the judge to do? Now, before we go into these questions, the exhibit that we're going to be focused on is Exhibit 10. Exhibit 10, how did the judge classify the audio? Did he classify as exculpatory or inculpatory? Now, Exhibit 10 is on our TikTok channel.
Cop is
Exhibit 10 is on our TikTok channel. So if you go over to Beyond the Metal Bars. All right. So our TikTok channel is Beyond the Metal Bars. If you go into, so you know how TikTok is separated, the tab where it says favorite. Scroll all the way down. You're going to see a post that says, how did Judge Carol Weimer rule? There we go. How did the judge classify? There we go. This is it. How did judge classify the audio in the dash camera? Was it exculpatory or inculpatory? Now, this is a transcript from October 31st, 2024. And we're going to get into it, and we're going to see what Judge Weimer said in a motion to dismiss. What did he base his decision on? Now, we're going to let's ask these questions so that way when we're focused on this exhibit, we know what to ask. Question 1, let's see. So our first question is, what exactly was Mustafa Al-Jazari motion to dismiss asking the judge to do? Okay. Why was the missing dash camera audio central to the motion? What happened to the audio? Okay. Where is the audio in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? What did the defense argue the missing audio could have shown? Okay. So if we had the audio, what does that mean in the case? What did the Commonwealth argue? What did the Commonwealth argue, say about this audio? What did Judge Weimer ultimately decide? Did he decide it was inculpatory, not important? Or did he decide that the audio was important? And this is what Exhibit 10 is going to show us. Now, before we go into Exhibit 10, let's hear what Commonwealth Amy Ashworth said on the news, all over the news on NBC4. Amy Ashworth came out on NBC4 and told the community this about the audio in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle, but there's no audio on the recording.
They claim they don't have audio of the dash camera, but here they are telling the public they were arguing. So if they don't have audio, and my client didn't say they're arguing despite the police report saying so, what's their basis? We don't know.
Weiner says his next step as the newest defense attorney on this case will be to seek bond for his client. The trial now set for December. In Prince William County, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
Okay. So you have a Commonwealth attorney, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, come out on the news and say that this audio is not, that this dash camera doesn't have audio. She seals the file. She's on NBC4, and she's telling you, I have other evidence that I'm building my case on. She doesn't show you the dash camera. She seals off the dash camera, and she tells you, I have other evidence. Well, fast forward to today, we got our hand on the dash camera, the full dash camera, and we have the whole file. And it shows that you were trying to use a lip reader to lie for you. Because once this file got out, they threw out the lip reader. The judge came out and he threw him out. Now, the Commonwealth attorney is telling us that this dash camera doesn't have audio. At one point, the prosecution went and got a lip reader. Let's watch what they're telling us all over NBC4. And what we're trying to get to, the point that we're trying to make, the point that I want to make is that the prosecution agrees that this audio is important. Why would she go and hire a lip reader to lip read what is going on inside the vehicle if the audio is not important? So my question is, why did she, in a motion to dismiss, say the audio is not important? Is she lying in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Absolutely. Is she bullshitting us? Absolutely. 1 minute it's important, but when it comes down to the motion to dismiss, all of a sudden it's not important. What does it mean when the judge agrees with her? Does that mean that he's no longer impartial? Let's hear what the prosecution is doing all over the news. This is what they're talking about when the lip reader came out.
On 4 tonight, newly released dashcam video shows the seconds before a car crashed into oncoming traffic and killed a woman and her young daughter.
Now, the man who has been jailed for more than a year, accused of intentionally causing that crash, may soon bond out of jail. He faces 2 charges of second-degree murder.
Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey was in court today when prosecutors presented evidence, including video from that dashcam. And we want to warn you, some of what you're about to see is disturbing.
So, at that point, when you're into it, they released portions of a dash camera, like 3 seconds, but they won't release the whole dash camera. And they tell you that we got a lip reader. At that point, they're not telling you that they found brake failure. At that point, they're not telling you that Mustafa's foot is on the brakes the entire time. This file is sealed. The county sealed off the file. They have evidence that this is a car accident, but they sealed it. And they release an edited version and tell you, we have a lip reader.
This is some of the dashcam video the prosecution played for the judge to try to convince him to keep Mustafa Al-Jazari behind bars. It shows the moments before his car crashed into oncoming traffic. This is some of the dashcam video the prosecution played for the judge to try to convince him to keep Mustafa Al-Jazari behind.
You see that hemp cigarette right there? Dorothy is a cancer patient, and she smokes hemp. To relieve her pain, she smokes hemp. Why did they cut that hemp cigarette out of Mustafa's dash camera? At the time, moments before the vehicle accident, Mustafa and Dorothy are sharing a hemp cigarette. Passionately sharing a hemp cigarette. The toxicology reports show that it was a hemp cigarette. But on NBC4, when they release it, they cut all of it out. They want to tell you that they're arguing inside the vehicle, but they're sharing a hemp cigarette. And that's why when the full dash camera came out, they can no longer use that lip reader. Because clearly that lip reader is bullshitting us and telling us there's an argument inside the vehicle. They're sharing a hemp cigarette.
Killing his girlfriend, Dorothy Fontaine, and her 5-year-old daughter. Killing his girlfriend, Dorothy Fontaine, and
they're telling you that he unalived his girlfriend and 5-year-old baby when they have in the file, they inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. The EDR showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brakes the entire time. So the vehicle would not stop because there's brake failure. But they sealed that information from you and they put it all over NBC4 that, hey, Mustafa did this on purpose. They won't tell you the evidence showed this is a car accident.
There is no audio, but prosecutors say the couple's facial expressions indicated they were arguing, continuing a fight that began earlier.
Facial expression? They're sharing a hemp cigarette passionately 5 times, moments before the vehicle accident, but they cut that out of the whole entire case.
In the day over a former boyfriend.
A former boyfriend that says Mustafa doesn't even know me. A body cam that's leaked. Mustafa doesn't even know the ex-boyfriend. The ex-boyfriend came out and he said, Mustafa doesn't even know me.
There is no audio, but prosecutors say the couple's facial expressions indicated they were arguing, continuing a fight that began earlier in the day over a former
home videos that came out from inside the apartment that show there is no argument. It's a beautiful relationship. So they don't talk about the home videos. They don't talk about what the ex-boyfriend says that Mustafa doesn't know me. They don't talk about the hemp cigarette that they're sharing passionately inside the vehicle, but instead they remove the audio and they bring you a bullshit lip reader. Once this dash camera, the full dash camera, leaked, they can no longer use that lip reader.
And as the car reaches an intersection, it veers left into oncoming traffic. Prosecutors,
they don't tell you that the police inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure.
Saying Al-Jazari did it intentionally. And as the car
intentionally, but his foot is on the brakes the entire time.
Another camera angle showing the victim's face and fear as she braces for impact. Al-Jazari's expression changing little. Another camera angle showing the victim's face.
Where's the impact? They cut that out of the dash camera.
Prosecutors telling the judge the video proves if Al-Jazari is released, he poses a danger to the public. Prosecutors telling the judge, but the defense attorney had a much different take on it, saying even if the couple was having a disagreement, that's not proof the crash was intentional or that Al-Jazari is dangerous.
They have a piece of video from one instance where it appears my client was trying to pass a vehicle and then in a moment of panic made a bad decision, an incorrect decision because he was flustered and panicked. That is not a reason to hold somebody in jail, finding that they're a general and unreasonable danger to the community.
Prosecutors also played a police investigator's interview with Al-Jazari made 2 days after the crash. Here's part of what he said when asked about what the dashcam video shows.
It just shows you turning into the left-hand lane, no skid marks, no braking, and then just driving into oncoming traffic. I'm trying to figure out why.
I don't know. Why would I do that?
Prosecutors also...
This is part of a 30-minute conversation. We have the whole entire conversation. And the investigator went as far as wrote in the report that, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. Mustafa never said that. There's an audio that Mustafa never said that. Imagine, the main investigator just falsifies your statements. They remove the audio and they write that you told me. And thank God there's a recording. If that recording did not exist, this investigator would have just gotten away with saying, hey, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle.
But the judge ruling prosecutors failed to prove Al-Jazari would be dangerous if released. He granted a $5,000 bond. The decision, a small victory for Al-Jazari.
So let's go over to... I want to play the part where the prosecution got a lip reader. So all over the news, they tell you that the prosecutor went and got herself a lip reader. Now, the question that we have, if the audio is not important, why did you get a lip reader? Oh, you want to find out what is going on inside the vehicle. So if you had the audio, you wouldn't need a lip reader. Therefore, it is important. The audio is important. So why did you say that the audio is not important in the motion to dismiss?
Only on 4 tonight, newly released dashcam video shows the seconds before a car crashed into oncoming traffic and killed a woman and her young daughter.
Now, the man who has been jailed for more than a year, accused of intentionally causing that crash, may soon bond out of jail. He faces 2 charges of second-degree murder.
Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey was in court today when prosecutors presented evidence, including video from that dash cam. And we want to warn you, some of what you're about to see is disturbing.
This is some of the dash cam video the prosecution played for the judge. The defense attorney...
Let's play the one where... Hang on. Let's see. The part where... There we go. This is it. Where she got a lip reader. All right.
New at 5 tonight, a Prince William County judge has changed his mind about giving bond to a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her little girl.
Prosecutors came to court armed with new details about the crime to persuade the judge to revoke the bond he set just last week. Only on 4, Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey reports prosecutors even hired a lip reader to figure out.
Oh, you hired a lip reader. You hired a lip reader. Why did you hire a lip reader? Oh, that's right, because you are saying that what's being said inside the vehicle is important. Wait a minute. Why did you say it wasn't important in the motion to dismiss? Oh, wait. Why did the judge rule that it's not important? What does that show about this prosecutor? What does this show? How impartial is the judge?
About what the alleged victim was saying on silent dash cam video just before the fatal crash. We warn you, some of what you're about to see is disturbing.
No.
The look the dash cam video captures on Dorothy Fontaine's face is clearly one of fear in the seconds just.
You don't want her to be scared? There is a car accident. A car accident is happening. You, the police department, found brake failure. You, the police department, the computer inside the vehicle found that Mustafa's foot is on the brakes the entire time, and the vehicle would not stop because there's brake failure. His foot is on the brakes. Oh, you want to hide behind emotions in this case. That you remove and cut this dash camera out of context. You remove the hemp cigarette. 5 times they're sharing a hemp cigarette. 5 times they're passionately sharing a hemp cigarette. Oh, but you remove that and you play seconds before when Dorothy is reacting to the vehicle accident. Oh, you want to hide behind emotions. You don't want to talk about the brake failure. You don't want to talk about Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time. You don't want to talk about the hemp cigarette. You want to hide behind she's reacting to the car accident. Who wouldn't react to a car accident?
Before the crash, her 5-year-old daughter, Empress, seated just behind her. The prosecutor telling the judge today a lip reader has analyzed the silent video and determined Fontaine is saying, no, Empress is in the car, as the vehicle veers left and into oncoming traffic. That was just one piece of evidence the prosecution presented to try to convince the judge that Mustafa Al-Jazari is too dangerous.
All right. So the prosecution went and got a lip reader. Let's read what Judge Carol Weimer is telling us in the motion. What did he rule in the motion to dismiss? Now, before we went into what the news is telling us, before we went into what the prosecution is doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari, a couple of questions that we're asking in this segment is, what exactly was the Mustafa Al-Jazari motion to dismiss asking the judge to do? Is to dismiss this case. Mustafa's defense attorney at the time filed a motion to dismiss the case. He said that the police department unintentionally destroyed the audio. Now, do we have evidence that the police department intentionally did it? Absolutely. Now that we have the file, we can get into it. But the motion to dismiss that was filed in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case was filed unintentionally. And Mustafa's defense attorney at the time used a case law, Trombetta versus California. It's a case law where it says if the police department unintentionally, whether intentionally or unintentionally, destroyed the main piece of evidence, this case can be dismissed. And that's what Blake Weiner demonstrated in court, that the police department, specifically Officer Chad Mason, destroyed the audio. Unintentionally? Sure, doesn't matter. He destroyed the audio. Now, for that case to go forward, that audio, that piece of evidence has to be important, exculpatory. So the question is, what did the judge rule? Did he rule that this piece of evidence that's destroyed, that he demonstrated? Judge Weimer agreed that it was destroyed. Now, is it important? Is it not important? Judge Weimer ruled it's not important. This is the exhibit. So if you go on our TikTok channel, Beyond the Metal Bars, and you click on So you click on the tab that says favorite. You scroll all the way down. How did Judge Weimer, how did the judge classify the audio exculpatory or inculpatory? Let's read the transcript. So page 117 on October 31st, 2024, that's the motion to dismiss. On line 19, Judge Weimer ruled, he said, there is no evidence that I've heard that would indicate that the police, specifically Sergeant Mason and or Investigator Drum or anyone else for that matter, knew or had any reason to know necessarily that they could be destroying evidence or destroy anything. Really? A vehicle accident happened. Mustafa's family is in critical condition. Mustafa's in a coma, being helicoptered to the hospital. They find out that there's a dash camera inside the car, and you want to tell me they had no reason to see that this dash camera is important? Early on, you're accusing that Mustafa did this on purpose, that this is not a car accident. You have multiple officers on the scene are saying this is not a car accident. There's a dash camera inside the car. And you want to tell me that this dash camera is not going to tell you what actually happened? Judge Weimer. Does this show that Judge Weimer is impartial? I mean, you get in a car accident. The county says it's not a car accident. Well, the deciding factor would be the dash camera inside the car. But here Judge Weimer is telling you it is not a deciding factor. These officers just had no idea that this dash camera is going to tell them whether this is a car accident or not. What do you mean? How? There's a dash camera. The dash camera is going to tell you everything. It's going to tell you, is this intentional? Is this a car accident? And then Judge Weimer says, there's also no evidence that there was any exculpatory. We're speculating. Everything is speculation. Maybe. Is there a reason to speculate? What do you mean? You're telling me that the audio is not exculpatory evidence? There's also no evidence that there was any exculpatory? You're telling me that the audio in this dash camera is not exculpatory? Oh, therefore, you're going to rule against the motion to dismiss because this audio has to be important, exculpatory for you to dismiss the case. But you're going to rule. The prosecutor is telling you this dash camera, the audio is not important, and you rule, yeah, it's not important. What is this? What does this show about the judge? Now, this is the same judge. We'll take this a step further. This is the same judge that in 2000, let's go over to at one point in September 16, 2025. Now, the motion to dismiss is October 31st, 2024. We're in September 16, 2025. You just heard what Judge Weimer said, that he ruling against the motion to dismiss because the audio is not exculpatory. It's not important. Here's a question for Judge Gail Weimer. If you think the audio is not important, why did you give out a judge order to have an independent expert go and extract the audio off the dash camera? And went as far as put a protective order on the finding from the family. Wait, you're saying it's not important, but you're giving out an order to go and extract this not important audio? Wait a minute. So to dismiss to rule against the motion to dismiss, you're going to decide it's not important. But here you are putting in a judge order to have an independent expert go in and extract the audio in September 16, 2025. So it must be important for you to issue out a judge order and go as far as put a protective order on it. This is titled Judge Demanding a Protective Order. This is page 21, September 16, 2025. Page 21, line 4. And there would need to be a protective order limiting the disclosure of this to anyone outside the process, including the family. All right, so here's another question. When Judge Carol Weimer on September 16, 2025, issued an order to have an independent expert go in and extract the audio, what did prosecutor Sarah Sammy tell the judge? Did prosecutor Sarah Sammy tell Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, I need my expert to extract the audio first before the independent expert from Mustafa's defense extract it? Wait a minute. I thought you're telling the judge in the motion to dismiss that it's not important. But here you are telling him that you need your independent expert to go in first? Where are you being honest with us? Are you being honest with us in the motion to dismiss? Or are you being honest with us on September 16, 2025? Are you lying then or are you lying now? Let's pull that up. On page 15, September 16, 2025, line 4, Sarah Sammy says, I want to make that abundantly clear that at all times since the inception of this case, the Commonwealth has indicated that all physical evidence are available for defense to inspect. We provided the full extraction to the dash camera to them, and I knew the raw data has not been provided. However, that is something we are willing to provide. I think what the Commonwealth issue concerning this case is the defense require physically take the... Okay, let's read through it. Essentially, let's get to... There we go. So this is a long transcript. There's a lot of back and forth between Sarah Sammy and the defense. Then at one point, there we go. So on page 19, you hear Sarah Sammy tell the court, Your Honor, the Commonwealth would not have an objection to that specific request as long as our expert is present, is able to verify the items and the process by which the expert intend on extracting this material, and the Commonwealth would also be extracting a raw data copy prior to this expert performing their extraction. We're talking about September 16, 2025. This vehicle accident happened April 5th, 2023. It took you 2 years to have your expert go in and you want to have your expert go in first before the independent expert from the defense go in. You want your expert. Wait a minute. I thought in October 31st, 2023, you said that this audio is not important. But before October 31st, you had hired a lip reader. Which one is it? Is it important? Is it not important? So at one point, you hire a lip reader. So it must be important. This audio must be important. In a motion to dismiss, you say it's not important. 2 years later, you're telling us that you want your independent expert to go in. So it must be important. This audio must be important to this case. The question that we're asking in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, is the presiding judge, Judge Carol Weimer, impartial? This is a document. This is a document that Judge Carol Weimer removed the lip reader in 2025. Take that back. Friday, January 9th, 2026. This document tells you, so that real quick. Let's circle that for you. So right there, you see Friday, January 9th, 2026. An order from the judge was put where they removed the lip reader. And here, when you read defendant motion in limine to exclude Commonwealth's proposed expert on transliteration. Transliteration is a lip reader. They removed the lip reader from this case in January 9, 2026. My question is for Judge Carol Weimer. You had no problem presiding over the Mustafa Al-Jazari case with this lip reader in December of 2024. But here you are removing the lip reader in 2026. What happened between 2024, December 2024, and January 9, 2026? That your reasoning is that it's illegal to have a lip reader in a criminal case. But in 2024, you had no problem presiding over this case with that lip reader. The only thing that changed is the file got out. The sealed file got leaked. That you can no longer contain this case for the prosecution. I mean, the law didn't change. But here you are telling the court and removing the lip reader because it's illegal. But in 2024, it wasn't illegal. The law didn't change. And the question that we're asking, how impartial are you in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? What does that mean for Mustafa's defense attorney at the time, Blake Weiner? We've got so many questions. He was going to walk Mustafa into trial with a lip reader that by law it's illegal to have on a criminal case. Mustafa's dash camera is going viral all over the internet. What the county tried to hide. They've released 3 seconds of Mustafa's dash camera. When the file got out, it shows that Mustafa and Dorothy are passionately sharing a hemp cigarette, that there is no argument inside the vehicle, and this lip reader was using his license as an expert to lie for the county. We're going to continue to cover the motion to dismiss. This is part 1. There's a lot of parts. We're going to be talking about the motion to dismiss for a while. There's a lot of parts. This is part 1. And leave me questions on this podcast. Part 2 is going to be asking Part 2 is going to be... Part 2 is going to focus on the court, Judge Carol Weimer, ordering an independent examination of the dash camera. Why did Judge Weimer order an independent expert to examine the dash camera? Why was an independent examination necessary on this dash camera? If the question about the audio was already settled, why was the court ordering an expert to determine what could be recovered? Why did the judge want the expert finding subject to a protective order? Why did the judge wanted the protective order? And he went as far as said, I need a protective order from the family. So whatever you find, when you do find the audio, I want you to not release it and seal it from the family. Why specifically protect the finding from the family? What does this tell us about the significance the court itself placed on the dash camera evidence? So these are all questions for the next podcast. We're going to focus on, next podcast is going to be part 2. Leave me questions on when this podcast gets released. Make sure you share on your Facebook. Hit the like button. Support our podcast. You can support us through our Cash App. We have it on our TikTok channel, so we can continue to do this. This is not easy. We're going through a lot doing this. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay.